Today, gambling is ubiquitous, exerting a profound influence on culture, particularly in the realm of sports. This impact didn't emerge overnight. Rather, it's a slow, insidious cultural malignancy that has gradually permeated and fundamentally altered our relationship with entertainment, risk, and even reality itself. Not long ago, the world of sports betting was rife with barriers to entry. These barriers weren't just legal but also physical and psychological. To place a legal bet, one typically had to visit a physical betting shop, a place often viewed as somewhat shady or disreputable. There, you'd need to interact face-to-face, present identification to verify your age and identity, and navigate a series of procedural steps. This process itself served as a natural cooling-off mechanism. It demanded time, effort, and intent, transforming gambling from an impulsive act into a deliberate, planned activity. Compared to today's era, where a tap of a finger can wager thousands of dollars, the process of placing a bet back then required significantly more time and mental preparation. Gambling's image was largely confined to television screens, and even then it was heavily restricted. Advertising slots, content, and frequency were tightly regulated to keep gambling distinct from mainstream family entertainment. These restrictions, whether the inconvenience of physical access or the cultural stigma, worked together to keep gambling participation at a relatively stable, manageable level for many years. It was a marginalized pastime, not a mainstream form of entertainment. But today, the landscape has undergone a seismic shift, and we are living in an unprecedented gambling frenzy. The change has been so rapid and thorough that society has yet to fully grasp its far-reaching consequences. People are now betting on virtually everything, and gambling's reach has extended far beyond traditional horse racing or casino games, infiltrating every corner of daily life. The subjects of bets are no longer limited to the outcome of sports matches. They've become all-encompassing and bizarre. From which movie will top the weekend box office, to which candidate will win the next presidential election, to how a war in some distant country might end. Events once considered serious, complex, or even sacred are now reduced to odds, tradable numbers. This trend of oddifying everything is profoundly eroding our understanding of and respect for the world's complexity. The tipping point for this gambling revolution was undoubtedly a landmark 2018 U.S. Supreme Court decision. In Murphy v. National Collegiate Athletic Association, the court struck down the 1992 Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act, PASPA, a federal law that effectively banned sports betting in all but a few states. The ruling handed the power back to individual states to decide whether to legalize sports betting. This decision opened Pandora's box. Driven by the lure of massive tax revenues and the pressure to regulate a sprawling illegal betting market, the vast majority of states opted to legalize it. This legal unleashing coincided perfectly with the rise of mobile gambling apps. The ubiquity of smartphones and the convenience of mobile payments gave betting companies an unprecedented 24/7 channel to reach hundreds of millions of potential customers directly. Overnight, everyone's pocket became a fully functional, portable casino. The consequences were immediate and unsettling. Since 2018, the number of people reporting gambling addiction has skyrocketed. This isn't just anecdotal or media hype. It's a grim reality backed by rigorous academic studies and data from frontline support organizations. Charities running gambling addiction helplines have seen call volumes hit record highs, with each call revealing lives shattered by debt, lies, and despair. A landmark study by Professor Stephen Shapiro at the University of South Carolina laid bare the almost symbiotic, dangerous relationship that has formed between sports and gambling. The research showed that a surge in one's popularity directly fuels greater attention and participation in the other, and vice versa. Sports leagues have signed multi-billion-dollar partnerships with betting companies, whose advertisements now flood every corner of sports broadcasts. Commentators casually weave real-time odds into their analysis of games. Over time, the two industries have become so intertwined that they are virtually inseparable. The sports event itself sometimes takes a back seat, serving as a platform for countless bets. Fans' focus has shifted from team loyalty and appreciation of the game to the specific bets they've placed. Whether a player will score in the second half or if the total points will exceed a certain number. This shift has eroded the communal spirit of sports, breaking it down into countless isolated, money-driven individual gambling acts. We've seen similar, if not worse, outcomes in the UK, where regulations have been far more lax than in the US for years. The penetration of gambling culture into football there has reached alarming levels. Almost every Premier League team's jersey bears the logo of a betting company, which follows players on the pitch and beams into the living rooms of billions worldwide via TV broadcasts, deeply intertwining gambling with this beloved sport. Gambling ads now run almost continuously during sports broadcasts, from pre-game analysis to halftime breaks to post-game commentary. In the US, American football, with its frequent pauses and breaks, provides the perfect breeding ground for gambling ads. Between one play and the next, during a brief timeout, viewers are bombarded with ads for risk-free bets or first deposit bonuses. To be clear, the core argument here isn't that gambling itself is an absolute evil that must be eradicated. Gambling, in various forms, has existed for thousands of years, and for many, moderate gambling under strict controls can be a harmless pastime. What's truly concerning is that our current culture is systematically fostering a widespread positive association with gambling. This association isn't confined to sports. It's permeating every layer of society, particularly targeting the most vulnerable groups, children and teenagers, while promoting the idea of betting on anything and everything in unprecedented ways. As early as 2014, well before the PASPA repeal, a report from the UK Gambling Commission sounded the alarm. It noted a significant rise in gambling issues among 11 to 17-year-olds. Within just 1 year, the percentage of children identified by experts as having serious gambling problems doubled from 0.7% to 1.5% of their age group. This isn't just a statistical doubling. It represents thousands of young people prematurely trapped in addiction. These are the children explicitly identified as having severe gambling issues. But the real horror lies in a softer, more insidious form of gambling that has been subtly marketed to kids and teens for years through predatory practices in video games. With the explosive growth of the video game industry, companies realized that the free-to-play model could generate far more revenue than traditional buy-to-play games. In this model, the core game is typically free, accessible to anyone. But to unlock cosmetic items like skins or outfits, or, more critically, in-game advantages like stronger weapons or faster progression, you need to pay. Real-world money flows into developers' coffers through in-game purchases and microtransactions. Game designers soon discovered that creating a virtual casino system within games was the most effective way to maximize revenue and keep players spending. On the surface, this design seems reasonable. It allows players with less time to pay for items they'd otherwise need to grind for, catching up to dedicated players. But for some greedy companies, this wasn't enough. To squeeze out more profit, they turned to the industry best equipped to design psychological traps that ensure customer retention and spending: the casino industry. From that moment, things spiraled out of control. When game companies saw players willing to spend staggering sums on loot boxes, a revolution swept the gaming industry. Blockbuster titles like Call of Duty, Overwatch, and FIFA began incorporating loot box systems. These boxes typically reward players with virtual cosmetics, new character skins, weapon camos, and the like, items that don't directly enhance gameplay or hold real-world monetary value. Yet they tap into players' psychological desires, particularly among younger players, who love customizing their characters to reflect their personal style and add unique flair to their virtual avatars. Finding a new item or earning a random reward during character progression became a source of fun and excitement. Loot box design masterfully amplifies this thrill, blending it with the core psychological mechanisms of gambling. It triggers the same reward circuits in the brain as gambling does. The anticipation and racing heartbeat as you open a box, the ecstasy of finally getting that coveted rare item after countless disappointments, and the frustration of opening yet another box filled with useless junk. This emotional roller coaster mirrors the experience of pulling the lever on a slot machine in Las Vegas. In the early days of loot boxes, they could often be earned through gameplay, by completing tasks or as daily login rewards, retaining some sense of being a reward. But today, countless major game publishers, ones you've already paid $60 or $70 for the full game, require real money to purchase these boxes. This model not only encourages players, especially impressionable children, to spend absurd amounts on worthless digital items, but the gambling mechanics often mean they end up paying far more than the item's nominal value. All this happens right under the noses of unsuspecting parents. Loot boxes operate on a carefully crafted rarity system. Items are tiered: common, white, rare, blue, epic, purple, and legendary, orange. with legendary items having minuscule odds, often less than 1%. This design makes loot boxes functionally and psychologically akin to slot machines. While this model has generated massive profits for publishers, often surpassing the revenue from game sales themselves, it's also primed an entire generation of young players for a lifetime of gambling by normalizing the thrill of pay-to-win lotteries at a formative age. This is fueling a new renaissance in gambling culture. And its latest, most unsettling product brings us to a platform called Polymarket. Before diving into Polymarket, let's touch on another facet of modern life that, while seemingly unrelated, similarly showcases how innovation reshapes traditional concepts. If you're still using a bulky, outdated wallet stuffed with receipts and loyalty cards, let me introduce you to Stir, the creators of the world's smartest wallets. These aren't your average wallets. Designed to be sleek, stylish, and incredibly functional, Stir wallets make daily life easier and more organized. With an ultra-slim profile, they efficiently hold over 12 cards and cash while being half the size of traditional wallets. Their signature trigger mechanism is a stroke of genius. A single press pops out your cards in a neat, tiered arrangement for instant access. Simple, fast, and satisfyingly tactile. For digital age security, Stir incorporates RFID blocking technology to prevent wireless theft, safeguarding your credit cards and IDs. Sustainability is also a priority, with premium, eco-conscious materials like Italian vegan leather and aerospace-grade aluminum. A true game-changer is their Finder card, a solar-powered, ultra-thin tracker that fits seamlessly into the wallet, ensuring you never lose it. 2 hours of sunlight provide 3 months of power, and paired with a phone app, it offers two-way ringing to locate your wallet or phone in seconds, plus separation alerts and access to a global lost and found network. Right now, Stir is holding its biggest sale of the year, the Coat Moon event, offering up to 55% off from December to December. Use the link below and the code MOON to snag this incredible deal. Trust me, once you experience Stir's convenience and peace of mind, you'll never go back to your cluttered old wallet. Back to our core discussion. Platforms like Polymarket have emerged from the confluence of video games, legalized sports betting, and the rise of cryptocurrency, riding the wave of this gambling culture boom. Polymarket is a peer-to-peer prediction market where users bet on the outcomes of real-world events. By blending the decentralization of cryptocurrency, the thrill of gambling, and the mechanics of stock trading, it's created an unprecedented, highly compelling, and deeply controversial model. In traditional gambling, you bet directly on a specific outcome. In roulette, for instance, if you bet on black and the ball lands on a black number, you win, and the casino pays you at fixed odds. Polymarket and similar prediction markets work differently. Here, you're essentially buying shares in every possible outcome. You can buy shares in the ball will land on black, or the ball won't land on black, i.e., red or green. Shares that prove correct are redeemed for $1 after the event's outcome is settled, while the price you pay for those shares before the event fluctuates between $0 and $1. Your potential winnings, or the price you pay for shares, aren't set by a central authority like a casino or bookmaker, but by what other market participants are willing to pay. It's a dynamic system driven by collective wisdom or bias. If most users believe there's a 55% chance the ball will land on black, the price for those shares hovers around 55 cents. If you buy at 55 cents and the outcome proves you right, your shares redeem for $1, netting you a 45-cent profit. This system allows multiple strategies. You can bet like a traditional gambler, holding shares until the outcome is settled, or trade like a stockbroker, buying and selling shares based on shifting market sentiment to profit or lose from price fluctuations. For example, you might buy shares in a candidate winning an election at 20 cents early on, then sell them for 60 cents as sentiment shifts, pocketing the difference without waiting for election day. This means, in theory, there's no third-party house taking a cut or setting favorable odds. However, this model introduces a host of other complex and serious issues, which we'll explore later. According to its founder, Shane Copeland, Polymarket began humbly in a bathroom, with a laptop perched on a laundry basket. But this small boat wasn't destined to stay docked. Launched in 2020, its timing was impeccable, just months before the US presidential election, when global attention was fixated. By offering a platform to bet directly on election outcomes, it quickly gained traction among crypto enthusiasts and political observers. By October of that year, The fledgling site had secured $4 million in seed funding from prominent crypto investors and venture capitalists. Post-election, as the spotlight faded, the site stagnated for a few years. Then, in 2022, a major blow. The U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, banned U.S. citizens from using the platform for offering unregistered binary options, slapping it with a $1.4 million fine. Oddly, this ban and fine seemed to have little impact on Polymarket's operations. Questions linger about the enforcement of the ban and whether the site's compliance efforts were genuine or merely cosmetic. But in 2024, as the next U.S. presidential election cycle heated up, Polymarket's growth exploded again, far surpassing expectations. According to Fortune, its monthly trading volume hovered between $40 million and $60 million in the first 5 months of 2024. In June, it nearly doubled to $110 million. A month later, it tripled, and by September, it exceeded $500 million. As Election Day neared, the frenzy peaked, with trading volume surging another 500% to over $2.5 billion in a single month before the election. Even after the election, while volume dipped, it remained far above pre-election levels, suggesting the platform's model and user base have some staying power. Recent events suggest powerful institutions are deeply concerned about this explosive growth. During the 2024 election, while mainstream media and polls portrayed a tight race between Trump and Harris, Polymarket's market consistently leaned toward a Trump victory. By November 1st, days before the election, Trump's win shares stabilized at around 63 cents, while Harris's were below 37 cents. When Trump won, Polymarket's users and supporters celebrated their victory. Kaplan took to social media, saying, "I know you, Polymarket users. Took a lot of heat for this, and I'm grateful you stuck it out. Hope you're feeling the win as much as we are." From Polymarket's perspective, there are plenty of reasons a Trump administration might let them operate with minimal regulatory interference or even allow U.S. users back legally. Critics during the election smeared Polymarket as a right-wing echo chamber simply because its predictions diverged from mainstream narratives, favoring Trump while polls showed a close race. Yet, its user base's collective judgment proved correct, lending weight to their long-standing claim that their market prices reflect the public's true sentiment better than traditional polls. But days after their victory lap, a dramatic twist. FBI agents raided Polymarket's New York office, seizing Kaplan's phone and laptop. While some smaller prediction markets are allowed to operate in the U.S. and accept bets on American politics, Polymarket lacks the necessary permits. Almost certainly, many U.S. citizens have been using VPNs to bypass restrictions and trade on the platform. Whether Polymarket is obligated to actively police these users is a murky legal question. While they've clearly violated their CFTC agreement, they also have significant plausible deniability, which could help in future litigation, assuming no graver issues emerge. Predictably, Polymarket quickly claimed the FBI raid was a politically motivated attack by the outgoing Democratic administration. Critics' main objections to Polymarket stem from its unregulated, Wild West status, which they argue opens the door to insider trading, market manipulation, and other predatory financial behaviors. Days before the 2024 election, Fortune published a bombshell report accusing Polymarket's presidential election market of being rife with wash trading, a deceptive scheme where users or multiple accounts controlled by one person repeatedly buy and sell the same shares to create the illusion of high activity, making the market appear hot and liquid to lure unsuspecting investors. A crypto security firm's analysis suggested up to a third of the activity in Polymarket's presidential market, the site's largest and most prominent, could be wash trading. Smaller markets on the platform, with their naturally low trading volumes, are even more susceptible to manipulation. A single whale with relatively modest funds can artificially sway prices by heavily buying or selling, creating false signals to entice others to follow, profiting from the distortion. In any unregulated online financial market, such practices are almost inevitable.